was a young attorney during the height of World War II, recalled that Tesla's nephew, Sava Kosanovich, had already been to Tesla's room and had removed at least one item, presumably a photograph. Giraud was told that Kosanovich was an ambassador from Romania, although he was actually the ambassador from Yugoslavia, but at this point he had no idea who Tesla was. Here it was, 50 years later, and Giraud recounted that his first impression of the inventor was that the deceased man, whose body had been found by a maid, naked except for a pair of leg warmers, was a deadbeat who didn't pay his rent to other hotels and that his trunks were filled with bird seed and newspapers. Giraud had received working orders derived from a bevy of top officials who were concerned that the Germans were trying to obtain Tesla's death ray, a number of whom were in direct contact with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, President of the United States. The initial order to impound Tesla's effects stemmed from Vannevar Bush, founder of the Raytheon Corporation, former dean of the engineering department of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and then head of the Office of Scientific Research and Development, OSRD, who was also at that time in charge of the top-secret Manhattan Project. Bush sent his directive to LMC Smith, heir to the Smith Corona fortune and head of the Special War Policies Unit in Washington, D.C., who alerted J. Edgar Hoover of the FBI that the Office of Alien Property, OAP, had jurisdiction and that they would take charge. Walter Gorsuch, head of the OAP in New York, was given the directive. He gave Giraud the order to seize Tesla's estate, and the young attorney complied. Giraud stated that there was the fear that the Russians had offered Tesla $50 million for his death ray, and because of that he was accompanied by military advisers from Army Intelligence, the Office of Naval Intelligence, and the Office of Strategic Service, OSS, to the Hotel New Yorker, where Tesla had lived, to impound his effects. In short order, Giraud verified that indeed Tesla was a deadbeat who still owed rent to the Waldorf Astoria, the Hotel Pennsylvania, the Hotel St. Regis, and the Hotel Governor Clinton, where he had in some or all of these places various trunks being held as collateral against his various debts. One can only imagine Giraud's state of mind when he was told by the people at the Westinghouse Corporation that there would be no Westinghouse if it weren't for Tesla. I first became aware of Nikola Tesla in 1976, which was 33 years after his death. Clearly, Tesla's name had disappeared from the mainstream, his legacy kept alive in the underground by John O'Neill's 1944 watershed biography Prodigal Genius, which was being distributed by a UFO organization. What this meant was that very few individuals in the country knew who Tesla was, and that many of those who did know Tesla's name connected him to occult circles and extraterrestrial beings. The 1970s were an exciting time for me. In the early part of the decade, I left a job in New York City to begin graduate work at the University of Chicago. I had no idea that the university was such a prestigious place. Already, by that time, there were something like 50 Nobel Prize winners coming from that school. To add to the university's cachet, it sat at the site of the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, with the science building from the fair just several hundred feet from my dorm. When I had a class in a building along the Midway, that referred to the Midway from the fair, where the great Ferris wheel had been situated. I had never heard of Tesla at that time, circa 1972 to 1973, so I had no way of knowing that this location would later loom so large in my research and my psyche, because the fair marked the introduction of Nikola Tesla onto the world stage as the inventor of our AC power system, the global electrical network often called the grid, which is essentially unchanged today, well over 100 years later. I decided to make the study of the unconscious the subject of my master's thesis, and this took me beyond the theories of Freud and Jung to the realm of parapsychology and the topic of telepathy. To my astonishment, I found that J.B. Rhine had conducted many successful telepathy experiments at Duke University stemming back to the 1930s. I also became aware that in Great Britain, such famous scientists and electrical engineers as Sir William Crookes, Lord Rayleigh, and Sir Oliver Lodge